What's up, everyone? Carl here from Outdoor Vancouver, and today I'm hiking up to Tunnel Bluffs in Lions Bay. I've hiked Tunnel Bluffs a few times before, but today I'm hiking in an alternate route, one I haven't done before. So I'm not starting at the Tunnel Point parking area off the Sea to Sky Highway. Instead, I'm trying an alternate route in to avoid the parking issues with that location. And how to look at the maps online. Doesn't look like it's too difficult to find, but yeah, we'll see. I've never done this route before, so things can always go wrong. The Tunnel Bluffs hike really got popular about 4 or 5 years ago. Before that, it was relatively unknown, sort of hidden gem kind of hike. And with the explosion of popularity in the trail, of course, came problems with parking. So the main parking area where most people begin the Tunnel Bluffs hike is at the Tunnel Point Lookout. It's a little pullout just off the Sea to Sky Highway. I think it holds, I don't know, off the top of my head, maybe room for 20 cars. And if you've done any hiking in Vancouver in the summer, you know that's just not going to cut it for a popular hike. So what a lot of people end up doing in the summer when that little parking lot overflows is end up driving down the Sea to Sky Highway, finding an area on the shoulder where there's room to pull over, park there, and then walk back along the highway, which is obviously very dangerous, walking along the highway, and illegal. And the other problem is, even if you can get a parking spot at the lookout area, to get to the actual trailhead, you have to run across the highway, which is also illegal and dangerous. So what the government has recently done, I'm recording this in early March 2020, has put in a 30-minute parking restriction at that lookout viewpoint parking area. And I don't blame them. It was a disaster waiting to happen. Either someone was going to get hit crossing the road, or a driver was going to be coming around one of those corners, distracted, look up, see someone crossing the road, panic, swerve, and crash. So that effectively shuts down parking at the regular viewpoint. So the new route, we'll call it the new route versus the old route, which was the more common route. The new route is a little bit longer in distance, but at the same time, you're starting at a higher elevation. So there's not as much climbing, and overall, it's actually a bit easier of a hike. The problem, however, is going to be, again, the parking. The problem with the new trailhead is it's the same trailhead that people use to access hikes like the Lions, Mount Brunswick, and Mount Harvey. And it's already itself has limited space available. If you've ever tried to do those hikes in the summer on a weekend, I'm sure you've dealt with the challenges of trying to find parking at the end of Sunset Drive there in Lions Bay. So Sunset Drive in the summer is pay parking. There's not a lot of room, and as soon as it fills up, people start to spill further down the Lions Bay roads into residential areas, trying to find any available space to park. And there's a school down the street where people try and park, and it can just be a real challenge to find anywhere to park to get to, well, this hike, but in the past, even just to hike Brunswick or Harvey or the Lions. So now that's just going to be compounded because we're going to have more people that are going to be using that same trailhead. And the residents of Lion Bay are already pretty territorial, so I don't think they're going to be too happy about it either. So we'll see what happens long term, but for now, that's the only other route I know into to get to Tunnel Bluffs, and the only other way to park, unless you're taking an Uber or a friend is dropping you off at the Tunnel Point parking area off the Sea to Sky Highway. But even then, you're still stuck with illegally and dangerously running across the road. My only suggestion is to try and do this hike on a weekday if you can, or to save it for the shoulder season. Do it in the spring or the fall. It's not that high of an elevation, so it stays snow free for much of the year. Or if you're gonna do it in the summer on a weekend, just be prepared to get up very, very early and get to the trailhead as soon as possible. Even today, it's March, so it's not even hiking season yet. And I got to the trailhead at 7 a.m. There's already 5 or 6 other cars there. So in the summer, unless you're there bright and early, you have virtually no shot of finding parking close to the trailhead. Brunswick and the Lions are actually 2 of my favorite local hikes. They're very challenging, but if you're up for the challenge, they're amazing hikes if you haven't done them before. I'll put a link to our videos for them in the description of this video below. The new route starts at the Sunset Drive parking area. The first 2 kilometers are not very eventful, not very fun. They're on a old service road, rocky service road, that's fairly steep. So it's steep and challenging, but not very exciting. After the first 2 kilometers, you'll come to a junction where the trail towards the Lions and the trail towards Mount Brunswick split. So you'll go left, there's a sign there, and get onto the Mount Brunswick trail. Then it sort of levels out a bit. There's a few creek crossings. Gonna go over a makeshift log bridge over one large creek. Shortly after that, you'll come to a split in the trail between the Mount Brunswick and the Hat Mountain trails. So you'll actually want to go left onto the Hat Mountain trail, and someone's put some bright blue markers there that are clearly labeled tunnel bluffs. So it should be, as long as those signs are there, fairly easy to find the junction. You'll drop onto the Hat Mountain trail, follow that over a few creek crossings for maybe half an hour or so. Then you'll come to a junction with the original Tunnel Bluffs trail, where there's maybe only 20 more minutes of easy hiking to get to the lookout. So, just about back at my car. My watch is telling me that was about between 10 and 11 kilometers, so definitely a few kilometers longer than the alternate route in, but not too much longer, and overall I think a bit easier actually. And it only took me about 3.5 hours. I'm surprised. So yeah, not too bad at all. I don't think it actually takes any more time than the other route in from the Sea to Sky Highway. So that'll do it for today. If you want to stay up to date on other trail videos just like this one, make sure you subscribe to our channel. We put out videos like this a couple times a month, and we'll see you next time.